right, welcome back inside our proactive newsroom. And joining me now is Anthony Ginsberg. He is the CEO of Gins Global, of course, and he's talking about the Tech Megatrend ETF. It's good to have you back again, Anthony. How are you?
Great. Good to be with you, Steve.
Yeah, good to be with you as well. And excited to learn a little bit more about what's been going on with the fund the last month. I know that May was a pretty solid one for the fund. So give me your overall thoughts.
Yes, we're benefiting from the tailwinds of tech and also the expectation that the Fed will eventually start cutting rates. Obviously, it's been a narrow gain in tech up until recently, but what we've seen actually has been across the board just in the last month and a half, a broadening out across many of our holdings in cybersecurity, cloud, social media, some future car companies, plus AI robotics. Obviously, a lot of the media attention is on the big mega caps in AI, but we're seeing this broadening out. And as you can imagine, if rates into 2025 here in the US start dropping in a number of rate cuts that are expected, that will help a number of our large cap and mid cap holdings because we're a lot more diversified. We, as you recall, have 120 holdings across these 8 key fourth industrial revolution themes. And yeah, our mega cap exposure is actually only about 12% at the moment, Steve.
Yeah, Anthony, does that make a massive difference when you are so diversified within the fund, being able to, well, one may be down, one may be up, and work yourself that way?
Well, it helps us actually to rebalance every 6 months. We actually have a rule where we rebalance and we actually take profit. So when NVIDIA was running real hard early this year and even last year, we're able to take profits. Tesla's a similar case. So we're obviously, on the one hand, slightly underweight the mega caps, but then we have a global holdings here as well. Unlike NASDAQ, for example, which is 100% US based, we look at the fourth industrial revolution, all these tech mega trends globally, and we see the build out in developing countries, whether it's in Asia, even other parts where the per capita usage of cloud, for example, and social media in Asia actually exceeds the US. So we're actually very positive on the global build out. And just quickly on the future cars, we'll actually own NIO from China and BYD, which Warren Buffett also happens to own. So we're not restricted just to US holdings. And I think the main point is that we see the convergence of tech, Steve, across a number of these sub themes playing out. So it's not just AI. AI is actually boosting a lot of the cloud companies' earnings from the likes of the big cloud boys, Amazon, AWS, and Microsoft. Azure have really been surprising 30% year on year earnings gains. So we even see a play out in AI across social media, digital entertainment, which is streaming, is also utilizing AI. So it's actually a convergence of these technologies, and we're not trying to just pick winners here. It's really a broader diversification story.
Yeah, I know that you were traveling recently and into Europe, and what sort of influences are you seeing coming out of Europe that could influence things that are happening within, North America?
Right. Well, the largest weighting, obviously, in our tech megatrend remains North America at around 58-60%, and then Asia is actually around 20%. Europe makes up the balance. And what the Europeans have asked us about is at what point is the broadening out of the market going to occur? Because actually the PE ratios on tech megatrend are below 20 right now. So we're actually seeing that a number of our holdings have still not really had major runs. So actually, in some cases, there's significant undervalue, I would say, in areas such as cybersecurity. Some of the future car companies haven't run yet. We've got players like some of the social media firms. Other than Meta, we actually have seen P ratios relatively low versus the mega caps, particularly Mag 7, are sitting on 35 to 40 times PE ratio. So actually, we're almost at about a 50% discount on a number of valuations, price to book, price to earnings, price to sales. So that's what the Europeans are asking about. And they're trying to basically, it's hard to time these things, but they're starting to dip their toes in saying, okay, we need a complement to just the Fab 4 or the FANGs or the Mag 7. Many of them have that already exposure in the S&P or some broader indexes. And they're coming to us essentially with the tech megatrend to drill down to get exposure to some of the leaders. We actually have 15 leaders for each of these 8 sub-themes, as I mentioned, social media and cyber. And a lot of those guys are not in the S&P or the NASDAQ. So that's really where the Europeans have tried to utilize us as a complement to some of their existing American exposure.
Well, it's pretty fascinating stuff, and appreciate your insight into the tech megatrend ETF, of course, as always, Anthony, and also what's going on around the world as well. So really appreciate your time today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve. Have a good day.
All right, you as well. There's Anthony Ginsberg, the CEO of Gins Global.